All right, let's talk about Daxi. But first, let's talk about a huge problem that keeps a lot of people up at night. How do you innovate when your core systems are just too important to mess with?
So, have you ever been in a situation where you need to make a change, but it feels like trying to fix the engine of a car while it's speeding down the highway? One wrong move and the whole thing could just blow up. That's the reality for a lot of critical industries, like manufacturing or finance.
And this feeling, this high-stakes pressure, it leads to what's often called the innovator's dilemma. It's this really tough, paralyzing spot that businesses get stuck in when they know they need to change to survive. I mean, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? On one side, you've got the terrifying thought of a total system failure. You touch one thing, and boom, the whole operation grinds to a halt. But on the other side, there's the fear of just getting left in the dust. If you don't change, your competition just flies right by you. It really does feel like there's no right answer.
So what's the way out of this dilemma? Well, this is where Daxi enters the picture, and it brings a totally new way of thinking. The whole philosophy behind Daxi can be boiled down to this one powerful phrase.
Okay, so what does that actually mean? Let's unpack it. Daxi is built around something called a DSL. That stands for Domain-Specific Language. Now, don't let the word language scare you. This isn't complex code. Think of it more like a set of super simple, custom instructions built just for your business. The DSL is all about defining the what. What are the steps you need to happen? Then, the powerful Daxi engine takes care of the how. It makes sure those steps get done perfectly. And that's the magic right there. Daxi creates a clean separation between the plan and the execution.
So, how does Daxi manage to do this? Well, the secret to its power is really about two things working together in perfect harmony: unmatched flexibility and absolute stability.
Okay, let's dive into that first secret ingredient, the amazing flexibility you get with Daxi's DSL.
You know, if you think about traditional coding, it's kind of like handing someone a pile of raw steel and saying, go build a car. You need a highly trained specialist. Daxi's DSL is completely different. It's more like giving someone a Lego set with a clear instruction manual. It's visual, it's intuitive, and it's designed for the people who actually understand the process, the experts on your team.
So what Daxi does is it turns all that complicated logic into something that looks like a simple flowchart. Every task, maybe it's search for a record or approve a request, becomes a little block. We call those nodes. And then you just connect them with arrows, which we call edges, to show the flow. It's so simple. And the best part, it empowers the real experts, the people who live and breathe this process every day, to actually design and change their own workflows without needing to be a coder.
And here's what it looks like in practice. See? It's not a scary wall of code. It's a clear, visual diagram of how everything works. Anyone can look at this and instantly get it. This makes working together so much easier and really cuts down on the chance for errors.
Okay, so we've got the flexibility part down, but that's only half the story. The other secret to Daxi's power is its engine, which provides absolute rock-solid stability. Because what good is flexibility if the system isn't reliable, right?
So the Daxi engine is designed from the ground up to be tough. It's not one single, massive piece of software that can break. Instead, it's made up of lots of smaller, independent parts or modules. The analogy of an orchestra is perfect here. You have the strings, the brass, the percussion, they all do their own thing. They're not directly connected, but they listen to the music, or in this case, events, to know when to act. So if one musician messes up, the whole symphony doesn't just stop. The rest of the orchestra keeps going. That's exactly how Daxi's event-driven system works, and it's why it's so incredibly stable.
And built right into that engine is this awesome triple-layer safety net. First, something called the outbox pattern guarantees that no instruction, no event ever gets lost. It's just impossible. Second, there's a feature called idempotency. Fancy word, but it just means that if you accidentally trigger something twice, like double-clicking a button, it only runs once. No duplicate orders, no duplicate payments. And third, if a task ever does run into an issue, it doesn't crash the system. It gets moved to a dead letter queue, where it can be looked at and fixed later, all while everything else keeps running smoothly. The bottom line is your data is always safe and you can trace every single thing that happens. Okay, so you've got this super flexible blueprint and this unbelievably stable engine. What happens when you put them together? Well, the result is pretty incredible. Just look at this comparison. It's a total night and day difference. Before Daxi, you need a specialist developer. It could take a week, maybe 2 weeks, of really stressful, high-risk work. But with Daxi, the person who actually knows the process can jump in and make the change themselves.
in about 10 minutes, and it's completely safe, with a perfect record of who changed what and when.
Let's put a hard number on that. We're talking about a reduction in the time it takes to make these critical changes of up to 95%. That's just a staggering improvement.
So yeah, what used to take weeks of nail-biting, high-stakes work can now be done in minutes. This isn't just about being a little bit faster. This completely changes the pace at which a company can innovate. Daxi is a true game changer.
All right, let's wrap this up by looking at the core value of Daxi. It really comes down to these three key things. You get the flexibility, which puts the power back in the hands of your experts. You get the safety, which means you can sleep at night knowing your systems are protected. And when you combine those two, you get unbelievable speed.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Daxi doesn't just change your workflow. It changes your whole relationship with innovation. It takes away that fear of breaking things and lets your teams constantly adapt, improve, and move forward.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought. If you could safely and quickly change that one process in your company, you know the one I'm talking about, the one everyone's terrified to touch, what would you change first? Pretty exciting to think about what's possible, right?